All right, let's get this thing going and cock locked and ready to rock here on a Thursday. Man, what a weird news day. We got assassins live in a courtroom. We've got coat scandals. I normally don't even talk about sports, but suddenly I've got to talk about this stupid thing. Man, later Tina Payne's going to join us. I screwed up yesterday. Orlando doesn't even know about this. He's in for AJ today. I told her to go to my home studio, but I was at this studio and she showed up there and I was here and it just didn't work out. So she'll be on later in the show. Y'all can have her in at 4 o'clock as we get cranked up today. I'm going to start with weather as I am wont to do when we've got extreme weather. And that's on the way this weekend. And I'm just telling you to do your any preps that you might need to do. This is going to be a hard freeze. And they had this in the forecast, then they moved away from it and then they moved back to it. So what they're talking about is potentially on Sunday night, lows around the Birmingham area around 17 degrees or so, down in the mid teens. And we will keep an eye on that, see if they tweak the forecast. As you know, as you get closer to an event, it's a lot more likely for it to happen. And one of the easiest things to forecast for our forecasters nowadays is temperature. Snow is difficult. So there is no snow in the forecast, but that is a hard freeze and a slap to the face and a personal insult right here before Christmas time. And then check this out. I'll go ahead and throw this in while we're at it. There's going to be a pattern flip, and you're going to be breaking out the flip flops and the shorts before Christmas. We are going to have unseasonably hot weather. A good portion of the country is this Arctic blast heads back north. This warm air is going to move in behind it during the week, and by Christmas Day, we could be back in the. I've seen some forecasts. It's a long way out, but I've seen some forecasts where in the 70s. So when you take the low Sunday morning, or excuse me, Monday morning, and then the high by Christmas, we got almost a 60-degree swing coming in the weather, but to the good side. So anyway, just starting off with that. Okay, so the live event that we've got in front of us right now is at the courtroom out in Utah, where the shooter of Charlie Kirk, you have to say alleged. People always ask me that. That's really just journalistic protocol. You don't want to convict somebody in the media, and so until they're formally convicted, we always say alleged, even though there's a mountain of evidence that this guy, this little pervert, dweeby geek, climbed on there with his grandpa's rifle and shot the man in the throat. So the controversy surrounding the outside ancillary nonsense about this case, I hope that an actual trial will put some of that to rest. Is if you've listened to the show for any amount of time, there's sort of a messaging fundamental that I've always lived by, and I did it when I was working in politics, and it's true even today in opinion journalism, I guess, is a new thing nowadays. But the absence of real information creates a void, and into that void, it's just a vacuum, gets sucked a whole lot of nonsense. And we see that with the conspiracy theories online. Social media has no guardrails or checks on it outside of people's common sense. The thing is, people have lost common sense on top of that. And so you'll get a lot of noise around cases like this that are unconnected to the real world. And they'll have validity until there's real information to come out and check that stuff. And then it goes away. Everybody loses their memory and forgets what they just got duped into believing, especially with this Candace Owens stuff. And people just move on to the next controversy. They forget that they were absolutely gullible to an insane person, bought into all the theories. One or two pieces of evidence at trial could blow it all out of the water, and then you're on to something else. And that's just the world we live in. It's unfair to his family. It's unfair to his organization. It's unfair to the people that were connected to what he was doing. Anytime there's justice for a lot of sides, you want the defendant in any case to be served justice swiftly, especially if they're guilty. But justice is also for the victims. It's for the people that were on the receiving end of the crimes. And so judges have to strike a balance here. So why am I saying all that? One of the arguments today is whether they will maintain a courtroom camera and this trial will be televised. Since the days of OJ, which was must-see TV back in about 95 or so, everybody in the country was watching every minute of that testimony. Yet still people walked away with we had divisions in the country over different ways of seeing what was presented. But I would err on the call on the side of, because of the notoriety of this case as well, that more public disclosure, more public exposure is better than not, than cherry picked information or clips or courthouse drawings. We've had, federal courthouses don't usually allow cameras in the courtroom. And I've heard many TV lawyers today make that point. And that's still the issue, even with the Supreme Court nowadays. We got audio, but we don't really get to see federal court proceedings. But federal cases generally don't deal with murder cases. Those are generally state cases. They don't deal with these cases of violence, they're usually civil cases or cases of some weight or magnitude on that side of justice. And I think a camera in there, a pool camera that everybody shares with some safeguards so they don't expose the drawers, would be very, very prudent here to knock down some of the noise around this case and perhaps get a fair trial and in my personal opinion, get this guy convicted and put him away. I wish he was eligible for the death penalty, but I'm not even sure that's possible in this case. What really ticked people off today, though, so far, now here's what's happened today. We'll walk through this for a minute. We got plenty of other things to get into. But it's a preliminary hearing. They'll do these things to set up the actual trial itself. And in this hearing, this guy walks in and he sits down with his attorneys, and they've cleaned him up and put him in a shirt and tie, and he has this smirk on his face. He's almost a sneer, and he's actually laughed out loud at one point. And that sent a lot of people sideways, because it doesn't comport with what we know about the case, the heinousness of the murder, the seriousness of everything at hand. Now, I've seen this a lot. As many of you know, in my younger days, when I was a young TV reporter, I was generally assigned to the crime beat in every market I worked in, which meant I covered a lot of murders and I covered a lot of trials about murder. And sometimes you'll see a defendant who's become detached from the reality of the moment, and their attorneys will kind of coach them to be this way. You don't want to look guilty, and so they've been hitting you with paper and process and going through your testimony and the evidence, telling you what you need to do and cleaning you up and putting a tie on you. And you're comfortable with that group of people that are immediately around you, so you have a relaxed posture. Even though the smirk seen around the world just a little while ago, maybe about an hour and a half ago, really pissed some people off. And that's the kind of sensitivity I think we're dealing with this case. The slightest thing will send people off in all directions. I'll say this too, as we get ramped up to eventually have a trial in this case sometime next year. They seem to be moving pretty quickly. Some of these cases can get drug out. It's been a little over 3 months since the assassination. And so they seem to be moving relatively quickly. What I've seen of the judge so far today, he seems to be even-handed and pretty decisive. And you want that in a judge. You don't want a judge that allows the courtroom to turn into a circus. And again, back to all I can think of is the OJ case as far as a celebrity-involved high-profile murder type situation. Different circumstances, but still this much attention. But that Judge Ito turned into an ass clown and let the attorneys run wild in his courtroom, and it turned in a lot of them wound up with TV shows and TV deals, and that's what you don't want in this case. I think so far what we know of some of the attorneys involved, this is dry, old, boring Utah. The judge seems to have a good command of the facts and the law in the state of Utah, and I hope things will proceed a way that restores some dignity to the process in this country, because some people will be watching. You think about the age group that was affected by this, these younger college age folks, they've never sat around and had a reason to sit through a murder trial and watch the evidence and see how these things work. And we need to restore some confidence in that process. And what we don't need is the chaos of social media and a trial via social media as well. But there are a lot of things to be decided. One of them, of course, is whether you have a camera in the courtroom. Others are about the security of the courtroom itself and how strong that they have to do this. The world's nuts right now, and nuts have come all out of the woodwork since this case happened. And so there's the roommate who's gone into hiding, who seems to know everything. There's witness protection for that person. That was the trainee that he was messing with. I don't know. It's such a sick world. It's such a sick world. But all that's happening in front of us. Now, here's where they are now. They're in a closed door session. They will, because they're going over two or three things. One's all this other information. And if you're going to have a high security profile and argue that with both the defense and the prosecutor, you can't do it in front of the cameras because you don't want to expose what the security perimeters will be. If there's a security of the building and of the witnesses as they come and go and the jurors themselves, I don't know if they're going to be sequestered when they finally see the jury. All that has to be worked out with both sides prior to the trial, and that's what they're working on. Well, you can't announce that stuff to the world. You would expose and make, if everybody knew what the security apparatus was, you make the people you're trying to protect even more vulnerable. Y'all get that, right? So that's where we are, just watching them work this out. So they're doing that behind the scenes. The judge will decide whether there'll be a permanent camera, and then other little things about the case as well being worked out. That's being done behind closed doors. They're expected to come back to the live camera. Again, they've got what's known as a pool camera in there. It's just a single camera that all the media agrees to share, the video and audio. And sometimes the various outlets will take turns being the pool camera every day. Sometimes it's the responsibility of one person. And the key thing for that camera person is to be able to capture what's happening in the courtroom, but not show those jurors, keep them anonymous from the process. It's not an easy thing to do, but we've done it before, and I'm sure they'll get all this stuff worked out. So here we go with that. That's in the news today, and we'll let you know how things work out with that. Now, I've got updates on the Venezuelan oil tanker. That was crazy. And then I'm glad Orlando's in there, and I know I don't want to drag him into the show too much because he's busy over there doing his day job. But we got a sports story that's a little over my head, and it's about this Michigan coach. So yesterday, let me just give this a brief take, and I'll stay away from it probably for the rest of the show. But it does affect Alabama, apparently. This dude, I'd never heard of him. I don't follow college football that closely. I didn't know if you put a gun to my head, I couldn't have told you who the Michigan coach was. But I kept seeing this guy's face pop up, and it says Michigan fires this coach. And I didn't pay any attention because this is the season when coaches get fired, right? It's the end of the season. It's a pretty common story. I don't know what kind of year Michigan's had. I don't think it's been good, but I figured, well, he just got fired because coaches get fired.
It's not been bad.
What was their record this year? This is where I need to lean on you because you know this stuff.
They had a winning record, and the past two seasons outside of this one, they beat Ohio State.
Okay, so by now y'all have heard this went from a sports story to like a TMZ soap opera thing. So the way it goes is he was banging his personal assistant, got her pregnant, somehow forced an abortion on her, or maybe they agreed, I don't know. She gets jilted, goes to the management. That's a clear breach, easy for them to get out of their contract. By their own standards, they have to fire the coach. It's like the old quote, it's not really a biblical quote, but do not put thy rod in thy staff, I think is how it goes. You got to stay away from that, fellas. Don't fish off the company pier, okay? Don't crap where you eat. Stay off that, right?
It started with Adam, okay?
Yeah, it goes way back. It's an old story. We've all heard it before, right? So he's stooping the personal assistant who gets pregnant. He's got a beautiful wife and two beautiful kids at home. Now they're having to watch this dude's life play out on TV. He gets canned within a span of just a few hours. He gets canned. That's made public. And I think right before that, he runs to the mistress's house and threats to kill her and himself, according to the news. We don't even know what all kind of – and now there are other ladies coming forward saying, oh, yeah, he was sliding in my DMs. Y'all know what that means, old people? He was direct messaging some hooches. Is that fair?
All I know is that he got arrested for stalking right after he was fired.
Yep.
And I don't know all of the dirt. I really don't.
It's crazy.
Just know it is crazy.
It's
really
more stuff than I want to know about. I was like, do I ignore this now? This has gotten bigger than just over in the sports world. This is the only thing that makes it relevant here because you keep seeing these reports, and this is where I need your advice, Orlando. Being a super huge Alabama fan, they're saying now Michigan's going to try to steal y'all's coach.
Well, They said Penn State was going to try and steal him. So that's going to always be your rumors.
Yeah, and
So
that's a good
no
problem
one
to have in
knows.
some cases.
It's
Yeah.
a great man. If you're
When
a
you're-
coach now, and if you have any kind of record, you can get paid.
Do they have a coach's transfer portal? I mean, it's the way it is now. A coach can leave like Kiffin did and take the whole team with him. Take all the
Yes.
coaches, take half the team. It's not the same sport anymore. I can't watch it. It's ridiculous. And there's very little honor left in it. There's still some, but it's changing. The whole sport's changing. And you got coach trouble like this all over the place. Auburn just fired one that had a sex scandal where it did when he hiring prostitutes freeze. This stuff goes deep, man. I mean, we got a Mount. Who was the Mount Rushmore guy? I mean, who was the what am I saying? Who was the Arkansas guy that took his girlfriend on a bike ride and had a wreck? Petrino? No, that was a basketball coach. What was his? Bobby something.
Yeah, I get those names mixed up too.
Yeah, I
because
do
they're
too.
similar. But yeah, I remember the story, and that's exactly what happened.
He takes his girlfriend. Now he's got a wife. Remember that out on a Harley ride, and they ditch it, and he's walking around in a neck brace. This was the Saturday Night Live skit. Now look, there was a lot at stake right here, and you got a family involved. But suddenly, I can't get away from this story in my own news feed. I'm trying to find out what's going on with the Venezuelan boat thing. I'm trying to figure out what we're doing with World War III, and I keep seeing this coach drama.
It's Bobby Petrino.
Petrino, yeah. I always get Joe Paterno, Bobby Petrino, and there was another coach with a name like that. Yeah, that dude had a wreck. Do y'all remember that the big old neck brace he came out in? He's all beat up. He's like, hey, y'all don't fire me. Oh, they fired him.
Hey, on top of all of this, you got P. Diddy as well, man. Come on.
Oh, and then over in the celebrity world, hey, there's some story today connecting P. Diddy to this coach. I'm not kidding you. I'm already going to stay away from it.
Yeah.
Unless it involves something down here, and then of course you got all the championship game, the playoff bracket, and all that stuff starting up. So people are edgy right now.
Yeah. And as far as DeBoer, he's not going anywhere.
You don't think so?
Nah.
That's what most Bama fans would say.
No, why would you want to go to that mess?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to go anywhere near.
Yeah.
But then again, he's at a school where he's filling the shoes of Goliath, and people aren't happy with him right now because he had 3 losses. So, hot seat's not fun. You could get away with that in Michigan. You could lose a couple and not, be threatened to get fired every 5 minutes.
Well, second year, the man has got us in the playoffs. I can't ask for much more. Hey,
Yeah, you can.
yeah, national championship, but that's to come.
All right, y'all. We'll see how that goes. If there's a headline on it and it gets interesting, we'll let you know about it. We won't totally ignore it. It's going to be a weird show today. This is that time of the year when news slows down anyway. So whatever happens in your phone calls too. 545-9950. Back here in just a minute.